Welcome to my American History Notes, where I discuss conclusions that I've drawn from my study of American history. And you don't have to believe individual conclusions or any of them, but you should know about the topics that I'm talking about, have some kind of an idea in your own opinion, based on hopefully qualified historians, primary sources, things that can give you some accuracy. So we were talking, Abigail Adams didn't like Washington, the new Washington capital, when she moved into it for a brief period of time. So, speaking of Washington, the city called the District of Columbia, which had been laid out according to the plans of a French engineer, Major Pierre L'Enfant, he imposed a series of avenues laid out on a grid of numbered letters and streets. Thomas Jefferson, when he was Secretary of State under Washington, is said to have determined the sites for the Capitol and the White House when L'Enfant apparently quit in a huff, according to Samuel Eliot Morison. William Thornton, a West Indies doctor turned architect, won a contest for the design of the Capitol. In 1801, the North Wing, called the Old Senate Chamber, now the Old Supreme Court, was ready to be used. The city itself was a scattering, of new buildings between a forest and the Anacostia and Potomac rivers. Dublin-born James Hoban received $500 and a city lot for the design of the White House. Much has been made by the conspiracy theorist about the pagan gods of Rome and Greece adorning the Capitol building, and that it was designed to mimic a pagan temple in Rome. And a great deal has been said that the White House is also the name for the second most important temple of pagan idolatry in ancient Babylon. First called the Presidential Mansion, it was referred to as the White House due to its white painted exterior after being burned and repainted during the War of 1812, according to some sources I found. Another conspiracy theorist idea you might find as you study the White House and our Capitol is the accusation that DC is laid out using Masonic and occultic imagery. Well, since many of our founders were involved in various Masonic orders, as were influential men all over Western Europe, I can buy the Masonic imagery. However, I found that I can take any city, or for that matter, many structures in nature, and create all kinds of links to almost anything just by letting my imagination run wild. You study and decide what you think and then present your arguments based on solid evidence. But I must pose a warning against basing a conclusion on incomplete evidence. This is the bane of all historians. Just the same, a great deal has been made by the conspiracy theorists that the Masons were all engaged in the creation of a one world government, and all the great men of that time were Masons. Well, think about it. Human beings are far too faithless, self serving, and stupid to create a secret conspiracy that remains secret for too long. Furthermore, if Washington, Adams, and men like Napoleon and England's political elite were all Masons intent on wielding a one world government, they were doing a lousy job as they fought like cats and dogs. I seriously doubt that there is or was ever a conscious plot to bring about a particular secret conspiracy to rule the world that took place over a period of centuries, because sooner or later, one of the conspirators would have shot his mouth off, written a book, or led a campaign to reveal the secrets. I'm not aware of any of the conspiracy theorists being actual members of the Masons, Illuminati, Trilateral Commission, Bohemian Grove, etc., etc. Like minded men may meet and talk about their views of the world and how it should be run, and movements may lead these men in certain directions, as does the lust for money and power. But the only conspiracy, to create a one world government that I can see is by Satan working behind the scenes to influence the powerful and mighty men of any age to work against God's plan as laid out in the scriptures. At this point, I'm highly doubtful of the smoke filled room scenario of modern history. I simply believe that greed, lust, and movement sweep those with a desire for power up in a community of purpose and similarity of behavior, even if they are at each other's throats most of the time. Sin is sin, greed is greed, and lust for power produces similar behaviors in fallen man and in saved individuals who are easily deceived because they have no root in God's scriptures. You decide what you think after prayerfully asking for guidance from God. I am not dismissing a conspiracy theory, because short term conspiracies, and cover ups do happen. Just beware of the big picture conspiracies that involve thousands of men secretly working to bring about something they have no hope of controlling. The rich and mighty are motivated by lust for power and greed, ego and envy, with some touch of guilt, and with others a mixture of all of the above, with some religious belief and a desire to make the world a better place by bringing us all together under one religion, one government, blah, 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 and all of the other blather you hear from diplomats on the news each night as they're interviewed. With regard to conspiracies, my final word would be this: if something makes no sense, there is a buck in it somehow. follow the money. So we're going to stop there and talk about Thomas Jefferson a little next time, and go on from there. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you come to your own conclusions from studying history yourself.